Good morning. It's a Saturday, and I thought I would record another ZunTzu game that I enjoy. Today I've got the module up for Conflict of Heroes, Storms of Steel, and I really like this one. I think I've put up videos before in the past, like a long time ago, but I thought since I was sharing the games that I like on ZunTzu, I would go ahead and pull this one up. And when you first load the module, just talks a little bit about the game or how to use the module. And what you got to do is come down to your files, go to the scenario section, and then it's got all the scenarios here. So quite a few, 15. So if I just go to like the clear and secure, which is the very first one, and there it loads up. Now what's nice is the people who or person who put this together, they put all the starting markers, put all the AP tracks out for you, put your command points right there, your caps. They put the stack for the infantry counters right there. This is such a brilliant game, because it's such a great gateway game to wargaming. And the more that I played it, the more I realized it covers a lot of topics that bigger games cover, but in a much more friendly and approachable manner. I mean, some of the rules still get questions that people ask about, different terrain features and things like that. In the actual board game, they updated Attack of the Bear, the first edition, to a second edition version with the updated rules, better counters and pieces. I mean, it's just such a great series. It'd be nice if they came out, with more, which they are. There's Guadalcanal coming out. But what makes this such a great module is the fact that it looks good too. The pieces, it's just like you popped it out of your board game. And I know I did a box opening for the game, and it just really, really captures the feel very well. Now they also have, in addition to the Storms of Steel box, they do have Awakening the Bear that you can also get here in ZunTzu. So what I like about this is when you lay the board out, it's not, let's see, what is that? Horizontal, vertical. It's vertical, it's not horizontal. I believe when I tried the Vassal version, it laid the board out horizontal. It just looked weird. This is how I lay the board out when I play. And when I play the Vassal version, it just seemed real kind of clunky. Like all the stuff is there in the Vassal version, but for some reason when I play here in ZunTzu, it just feels a little bit easier to zoom in and out. If I want to rotate pieces to face a certain hex side, I just spin my wheel. I don't have to like right click it, choose a menu, and tell it to rotate and different things. It just kind of feels a little bit easier to navigate the board, drag it around, zoom in on something, pull out a little bit. Now this one I wanted to share because it has a great dice rolling feature to it. Now when I play, I like to use the optional rule for variable AP. Normally you get 7, so like when it's your turn, you just mark 7 on your track. But I do re-roll 3 dice, and then from there you get to keep like the top and the bottom, which still averages out to around 7, but if you have like a really good dice roll, you get a whole bunch. And I love the way the dice rolling is done here. I just think it looks cool. I know with Vassal, you click the dice roll button, it displays your numbers. And I'm not going to say it's bad. Because I'm such a video game eye candy type of person, I just like the feel of, oh look, I just rolled the dice and there's my numbers to add up. I just enjoy it. Or, just 2 dice or just 1. But so there's your dice rolling feature. That's what I wanted to share, was this game actually has some good dice rolling to it. What's good about ZunTzu too is depending on your game, you can make pretty much any size dice you want, 4, 8-sided, 10-sided, change the colors of the dice and the pips, all on how you set up the module. Alright, so you've got your dice rolling feature, and when you want to track your stuff on your charts, you just left click, pick up your marker, drop it down. Just move it. So it retains that actual, I'm moving the pieces of the board around kind of feel to it. Okay, so let's take a look at the rest of the module. One thing I like about ZunTzu, and I've shown this before, is how to like randomly pick a counter from a big stack. So for this particular module or scenario, because it's only infantry, they put all of the infantry damage markers out. And so if there was a combat result that needed to occur, you just click the whole stack, hit your shuffle button once or twice, and then you can pick your counter, set it down, right click it, and zoom in a little bit, and then you know this is what you have. What I do sometimes, I'll just rotate it so it matches up. And then of course if you were playing face to face, just leave that there, and then double click your stack, rearrange the stack, set your damage counters on the bottom, and then when you look at the stack you can flip just the counter to see what it is. So to me that's a pretty good way of managing stuff. And then if you got to move the whole stack, it rotates the whole stack. Now when you look here at the other parts that come with the game, so we've seen the basic infantry they pulled out, and there's your random infantry damage counters and your player charts. They do have, for the later on scenarios, the miscellaneous counters that come. And because the game works on like the counter sheets, if you were punching items from the counter sheet, here's the markers in the dark color that were already pulled out. And then if I was to like needed one of these defensive positions, once I remove it from the counter sheet, it leaves the placeholder, and you just hover over the word map and then drop your appropriate counter. And then if you don't need it, just select that counter, put it back. So what you could do is, like when you kill infantry here, you can either just put the dead piece off to the side, if you want to track what's dead, or just clear it from the board, and then it goes right back to the counter sheet. So we got your miscellaneous counters. Then they also had the full German units, and I already returned one German unit back here to the sheet. But then here's all the other counters. And then again, if you just wanted to change up that first scenario, because that's the fun thing about war games, you can kind of change it up and make whatever you want. So that if that scenario starts with those 3 infantry, but you want to slowly learn in the combat rules for vehicles, just go ahead and grab you a Panther and stick it on the map. And now you've got your stuff. Boom. And then you can zoom in, read your stats. So really easy just to grab and add units. And then they got the Russian units here. And then here's all the hit counters. So they pulled all the infantry off. So because I introduced a tank, then I would have to make a stack for the vehicle damage counters as well. And the way you make that stack, I know I've shown this before, but this is the only tedious part of setting up a scenario. What is an advantage of Vassal? Vassal, you could have a module or like a box or something that you can click on, and the random results could be programmed into that box. But here in ZunTzu, you're going to have to drag all your counters down, and essentially, again, kind of mimicking that feel of the actual board game, this would be you punching your counters and sticking them in your little chit cup or whatever you're using for tracking. So if you are now going to have a vehicle, we better have some damage results for that vehicle. So you got to drag them all to your stack and then put it down on the map, and then there you go. Now I got a draw pile for all these counters. So if they had damaged the vehicle, I just select my whole stack by clicking on the bottom counter. Just shuffle it up a couple times. You like to feel like you're shaking the cup, and then flip that top one, and there you go. I got a damage result. And, if I want to match it up, just rotate it. There you go. And stick it on. There we go. They're stuck together now. So that's how you would drag over your stacks of counters. Now when you load the different scenarios, if there already has vehicles, they've already got the vehicle pile for you. And what's nice is if you start a game from scratch that has like no counter setup, what you can do is set your game board the way you like it, and then save that positioning, like the starting position, with all the counters in their appropriate place. That's what I did with the Operation Phantom Fury. Is the base game that comes loaded only has some of the counters in place. And what I did was I went ahead and dragged over all the different piles of counters that you need, and then I saved that as a save game. That way whenever I play, I just pull up that base game that has all the counters set, and then I can set it up for the actual scenario. So ZunTzu is, depending on what you're doing, maybe a little bit difficult to set up, but once you have all the counters in place, you just save it. And that's how they got these different scenarios, is they just pulled up the base game, set all the starting pieces, and then saved the mission as the name of the scenario with all the starting pieces in place. So there's your hit counters. They have here, this was where you could put maps for hidden maps, like for hidden movement and stuff like that. Here are the game cards. Now for the missions that again that actually have the cards, or like I don't remember if they had two versions of the game of the first scenario. Say, let me check real quick. I can't remember, one with cards and one without the cards. Let's say, yeah. See, here's Firefight number 1, and this here, if we open it, we'll pull it up here. Check it out. They already made the card stack for you, and then the optional. Because it had a little bit different scenario setup, but then it's got an optional Soviet counter right there. So what somebody did in order for you to be able to play the advanced rules for scenario 1 out of the book is they went ahead and put the stack of cards. And then the stack of cards manipulate the same way. You know, just open up your, double click your stack of cards, and then when you're instructed to by the game at the beginning to draw your card, you can just draw your card down. And then like we saw with Combat Commander, I can either leave my card right here on the table, or I can open up my hand and then just drag it down into my hand. And then as I play, what I do, especially with this game when you have like one card, sometimes you don't remember you've got a card, so I leave my hand showing, and that way I can remember I've got my card. Because with the Conflict of Heroes, sometimes on that first scenario, it's kind of like just one card at a time. It's not like, not like Combat Commander where it's a card-driven game. Sometimes you forget you got your one card down there. So I just leave my card, and then when I want to look at it, I can just leave it in my hand like that. Ooh, I got an auto rally. So that's a great thing about the ZunTzu module. That's why I really like this module. It doesn't have all the fancy automation of Vassal, but again, it just kind of helps retain that board game feel. You have to track everything, keep track of your dice rolls. And the last tab they had down here were these coins, and I am not quite sure what the coins are used for. I don't remember seeing that in the rules, but they have some coins. But the basic module has all the stuff you need. Oh yeah, and so even when you set up the first scenario here, looking back at the cards, they pulled the cards, only the cards needed for that first scenario. So this is what the ZunTzu module for Conflict of Heroes looks like. For people who go to like the Matrix games, and they put out the computer-driven Conflict of Heroes computer game, I heard a lot of folks, I won't say I heard a lot of folks, but I have read negative press about the Matrix games version of Conflict of Heroes, because the board has like a 3D tilt, you can put 3D terrain, has these little 3D units that are not super detailed. There just seem to be a lot of complaints that I read about the game, and unfortunately I read very few positive things about the game. Actually, when I play the Matrix game, I didn't buy it, I downloaded the demo, and when I play it, I turn off all the 3D features and choose all of the tabletop options. So when you play it, their version, it looks like this then. The table still has that 3D tilt to it, but then you're playing with all the counters. And then all the computer tracks all your movement points and all the variable APs that you get for all your units. It has some rules a little bit different than the board game, but you can make that version feel more like the board game. But if you want the true board game, go ahead and check out the ZunTzu version. I think you would enjoy this. It feels just like the board game experience, moving all the pieces individually, punching them out, and nothing is tracked by the computer. It's all done by you. So give that a check, and if you want to see a sample gameplay to see how it actually works instead of just what the setup looks like, let me know. All right, we will talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.